robin builds her nest from the mud and the snow, with a breast red as morning and a song soft and clear. She sings to her young ones, I'm right here, I'm right here. Little wings of wonder, little hearts yet to fly. Mother birds are watching underneath the white sky. Every feather she gives you was laid down with love. You are held, little one, by the warmth from above.
Picture this. It's January. The woods are dead quiet.
Just completely silent.
Right, brutally cold, and the deciduous trees have been stripped completely bare. The ground is frozen solid. I mean, so deep that even the earthworms are silenced.
Yeah, there's virtually nothing moving down there.
Exactly, and if you look around, most of the birds that nested in these trees last spring are just gone.
They've fled.
Yeah, fled hundreds or even thousands of miles south, looking for a landscape where food is, actually available. Acoustically, the forest belongs almost entirely to the wind.
Maybe the occasional percussion of a woodpecker hitting a dead snag, but that's about it.
Right, but then, just before midnight, something breaks the silence.
That unmistakable sound.
Yes, a deep, resonant duet of hoots echoing right through the trees. 5 or 6 syllables descending, then climbing back up. A pause.
And then you hear a reply in a slightly higher register from a totally different direction.
It's haunting. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are exploring the audacious, brutal, and frankly brilliant strategy behind that sound. We're talking about the winter nesting behavior of the great horned owl.
It really is an incredible topic.
It is. We're drawing from some fascinating source material today, detailing how this mother owl raises a family in the dead of winter. She actively chooses the absolute most inhospitable weeks of the entire year to start her lineage.
Which just sounds completely backwards when you first hear it.
Totally backwards. And for you listening, whether you are managing a highly complex project at work, or maybe trying to perfectly time a massive life transition, or just trying to survive your own metaphorical winter, you really need to hear this.
There are a lot of lessons here.
So many. Because this bird offers the ultimate masterclass in long-term strategic forecasting. It's all about executing a vision when the environment is completely, overwhelmingly against you.
And nature is rarely forgiving when the environment is against you.
Definitely not. Okay, let's unpack this. Why on earth would any living creature look at a barren, frozen landscape in January and decide, yes, this is the perfect time to reproduce?
It seems entirely counterintuitive on the surface.
Yeah.
I mean, we are talking about the female great horned owl, the Bubo virginianus, literally sitting on her eggs by late January or early February in the northern U.S. and southern Canada.
In the dead of winter.
Right. She is enduring temperatures that routinely drop well below zero. She's sitting there through active snowstorms that bury her in her nest in inches of white snow.
Wait, she just lets the snow pile up on her.
She has to. She doesn't move. It looks like a biological glitch, honestly. Almost as if she somehow misread the seasonal calendar.
But she didn't.
No, not at all. What's fascinating here is that this isn't a mistake at all. It is a masterpiece of ecological synchrony. The timing is deliberate, it's agonizing, and it's incredibly precise.
Because she isn't timing her nesting for the weather of today, right? She's timing it for the weather of tomorrow.
Precisely. She is reverse engineering the calendar. She does this so that the absolute hungriest, most demanding phase of her owlet's development perfectly aligns with the spring thaw.
And that hungry phase hits around March and April, according to the source.
Yes, exactly. That thaw is the exact moment when winter-stressed prey like rabbits, squirrels, and voles finally emerge. They are at their most vulnerable and easiest to catch right then.
It's like the best way to visualize this strategy for you listening is to think about a really high-stakes investor. Imagine draining your entire life savings to build massive infrastructure in the middle of a deserted ghost town.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, everyone else thinks they're crazy, right? But they are taking on immense upfront suffering and risk because they have calculated that a massive gold rush is going to arrive in exactly 2 months.
They want to be fully operational the second that boom hits.
Exactly. But to pull off that kind of biological gamble, they have to rely on some pretty extreme physical adaptations.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, these are massive birds. We're talking 18 to 25 inches long, with a wingspan that can reach up to 57 inches.
Wow, a 57-inch wingspan. That's huge.
And they weigh up to 5.5 pounds. But, the physical distribution of that weight is highly unusual.
Right. The source material specifically highlights something called reversed sexual size dimorphism.
Which is a bit of a mouthful, but it's crucial.
Yeah, basically, a large female can weigh nearly twice as much as a small male. You can visibly see the size disparity when a mated pair is perched together.
And logically, that division of labor makes perfect sense if you think about their roles.
Because she needs all that massive bulk to act as a biological furnace, right? She has to guard the nest against freezing winds.
Exactly. While he needs to be smaller, lighter, and much more agile, he has to navigate dense woods and hunt continuously to feed them both.
That makes a lot of sense.
Ugh.
But the text mentions that this physical difference leads to a really bizarre vocal anomaly.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite details. Despite the female being the absolute heavyweight of the pair, her voice is actually higher.
Wait, really? The bigger bird has the higher voice.
Yes. The significantly smaller male has a lower-pitched hoot. The text notes that the mechanical reason for this difference in their vocal anatomy is still, incompletely understood by science.
It's wild. Nature is so weird sometimes.
It really is. But the result is unmistakable when you hear it. You get that deep, slow hoot of the male, followed by the higher, rapid reply of the massive female.
That duet.
Right. That duet is the signature acoustic marker of the late winter woods.
Okay, so she has the mass, she has the voice, and she has this grand strategic vision banking entirely on this spring thaw.
Yes.
But to actually cash in on that strategy, these owls have to survive long enough to see the snow melt. I mean, they have to be incredibly efficient hunters in a totally barren winter landscape.
Where almost all the prey is either hibernating, hiding under the snow, or just entirely gone.
So how do they pull that off?
Which brings us to their absolute mastery of real estate. Great horned owls are non-migratory across most of their range.
So they don't leave when it gets cold.
No. A mated pair doesn't just pass through face. They hold the exact same territory year-round, year after year.
Wow. Permanent residence.
Exactly. They maintain their bond and their claim on the land through the non-breeding months simply by duetting. They're constantly broadcasting their presence to any rival pairs who might be listening.
And this permanent residency is really their ultimate advantage. Because she lives there 365 days a year, the female knows every single field edge.
She has memorized the entire landscape.
Yeah, every brush pile, every specific fence line where mice tend to concentrate. She knows every single drainage ditch where a rabbit might move at dusk.
It's like having a mental heat map of the forest.
Totally. So when winter hits and resources become incredibly scarce, she isn't just blindly searching for food. She is executing a hyper-efficient patrol of a grid she has memorized over multiple seasons.
And she is patrolling that grid for virtually anything that moves. I mean, they are true apex nocturnal predators.
The source said they have the broadest prey base of any regularly nesting North American bird.
Right. That dietary flexibility is exactly what allows them to survive in virtually every habitat type across the continent, from the Arctic tree line all the way down to the Strait of Magellan.
The diet list in the source text is honestly terrifying.
It really is.
We were talking rabbits, squirrels, opossums, skunks, muskrats, and ducks.
But they also hunt other apex predators.
Right. They regularly kill and eat other raptors like ospreys and red-tailed hawks.
And fearlessly, they even eat other owls.
That is just savage.
Oh, they don't hold back. They will take out barred owls and even great horned owls from neighboring territories if they cross the line.
But to catch that massive variety of wary defensive prey in the dead of a winter night, they need highly specialized sensory equipment.
Which brings us to that famous silhouette. When you picture an owl, you immediately think of those iconic ear tufts sticking up on the top of their head, right?
Yeah, those little pointy ears.
Yet the text clarifies a crucial misconception here. Those tufts aren't ears at all.
Wait, they aren't ears?
No, they are merely feather clusters. Their primary functions are communication and camouflage. They help to break up the bird's round outline against the jagged bark of a tree so they remain invisible during the day.
Oh wow, so where are the actual ears?
The actual ears are entirely hidden beneath the stiff feathers of their face.
And the architecture of that face is a weapon in itself. We call it a facial disc. The text says it acts like a biological parabolic reflector.
That's a great description of it.
Those stiff facial feathers literally capture faint sound waves and funnel them directly toward the hidden ear openings. But the placement of those ear openings is what completely sets them apart.
Is where the biology gets really crazy.
Yeah. Imagine you're wearing a pair of headphones, but you slide one of the ear cups slightly off your ear, so it's resting higher up on your temple. Their ear openings are asymmetrically placed on their skull. They sit at slightly different heights.
This asymmetry is an astonishing biological innovation. Because the ears are vertically offset, a sound, let's say the microscopic crunch of a mouse stepping on a dry leaf buried under the snow.
Such a tiny sound.
Exactly. That tiny sound reaches each ear at a fractionally different millisecond.
Oh, because one ear is physically higher than the other?
Precisely. That tiny, almost imperceptible delay allows the owl's brain to triangulate the exact source of the sound in 3 dimensions.
That is unbelievable.
They can calculate distance, direction, and elevation with absolute pinpoint precision. They don't even need to use their massive eyes to see the mouse. They can locate and strike hidden prey in complete pitch-black darkness, relying on sound alone.
Acoustic assassins operating at the absolute peak of evolutionary design.
Truly.
But here is the paradox that really stands out in the source material. You have this perfectly adapted, radar-equipped, fearless apex predator who commands her territory with lethal efficiency.
Right.
But she fundamentally lacks one basic avian skill. She does not build a nest.
Not a single twig.
Not one. Here's where it gets really interesting. Because she refuses to build, she has to appropriate.
She takes over the stick platforms originally constructed by other large birds, usually red-tailed hawks, great blue herons, or crows.
She just steals them.
Basically. She will locate a vacant heron nest in the middle of winter and simply move in. Or she'll claim a massive crow's nest that a family of crows has spent a decade painstakingly building up layer by layer.
Wait, if she is this ultimate powerful predator, why is she squatting in a flimsy, used crow's nest? Isn't that a massive vulnerability?
You would think so.
I mean, why wouldn't a bird this large just construct her own custom insulated shelter to protect against a blizzard?
It looks like a vulnerability until you examine the sheer energy economics of her situation. Building a structure large enough to hold a 5-pound owl requires hundreds of flights.
Oh, right.
She'd be carrying heavy sticks, expending massive amounts of calories. The text points out that her process of claiming a nest is actually highly systematic.
She doesn't just pick the first one she sees.
Not at all. She actively surveys multiple sites over several weeks. She's testing them for structural integrity, checking the sightlines for hunting, and assessing the wind shelter.
And once she claims the optimal platform, she fiercely defends it.
Oh, fiercely. It is not uncommon to see a great horned owl refusing to budge, while a massive red-tailed hawk aggressively tries to reclaim its own nest for the spring.
So she doesn't build because she absolutely cannot afford to waste a single calorie.
Exactly. She must conserve every ounce of her bodily energy for the most brutal and physically taxing phase of her entire life.
The incubation period.
The biological furnace.
The math on this part of the source material is staggering. She lays 1 to 4 eggs, usually 2. They are dull white and almost perfectly spherical.
And that spherical shape isn't an accident.
Right, the text notes that a spherical shape mathematically minimizes the surface area exposed to the air, which minimizes heat loss.
Which she desperately needs.
Because even with that shape, she is sitting in a totally exposed nest, perhaps 80 feet up in the leafless tree, in minus 20-degree Fahrenheit weather, while snow just accumulates on her back.
And despite that freezing ambient air, the surface temperature of those eggs must remain at approximately 100 degrees Fahrenheit for the embryos to survive.
Wait, so the air's minus 20 and the eggs have to be 100?
Yes.
That is a 120-degree temperature differential happening right there in the open air. And she has to bridge that massive gap entirely with her own body heat.
It's an incredible feat of endurance.
She spends weeks before laying just pressing her breast into the borrowed nest, shaping a bowl. And then when the eggs finally arrive, she uses her brood patch.
Right, the brood patch is essential here.
This is an area of bare, highly vascularized skin on her belly. The blood vessels literally move closer to the surface of the skin, so she can press her 100-degree core body heat directly against the porous eggshells.
Which means she is effectively acting as a living radiator. And unlike many other winter survivalists, she cannot enter torpor.
She can't hibernate or slow down.
Exactly. She cannot slow her metabolic rate to save energy. She has to actively burn calories, running her metabolism at a fever pitch night after freezing night for 30 to 37 days straight just to keep those eggs viable.
That sounds exhausting.
If she leaves that nest for even a few minutes in those extreme temperatures, the eggs will rapidly cool and die. There is no custom-built, insulated nest material keeping them warm. The only thing standing between those eggs and freezing death is her metabolism.
But if she is running her metabolism at a fever pitch for a month, and she literally cannot leave the nest to hunt her carefully memorized territory, she should starve to death.
She absolutely would.
She is burning massive amounts of energy and has zero access to food, which means she needs external fuel. And this is where the dynamic of the mated pair shifts dramatically.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you realize this is an incredibly high-stakes partnership. The male does zero incubating.
None at all.
None. He does not have the mass or the brood patch to brood the eggs. His sole job during this brutal month is strictly nutritional.
He's the provider.
Yes. He has to hunt during the absolute coldest, darkest nights of the entire year and deliver prey back to the nest to fuel her furnace. Sometimes he has to make several successful deliveries a single night just to keep her alive.
The pressure on him is immense. The source explicitly states that pairs where the male is an experienced, highly capable hunter will fledge significantly more owlets.
Because if he's a poor hunter, or if the winter storms are simply too harsh and the prey vanishes, the female's physical condition deteriorates rapidly.
She starts metabolizing her own muscle, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
And the amount of weight she loses directly impacts her ability to physically feed and care for the chicks once they finally hatch.
And when hatching day finally arrives after that grueling month, the owlets emerge completely blind, covered in thin white down, and utterly helpless against the cold.
But because the parents synchronize this perfectly with the changing season, the prey is starting to become more abundant.
Right, the spring thaw is starting.
Exactly. And because of that, the owlets grow astonishingly fast. By 5 weeks old, they are already standing upright in the nest. They're consuming whole prey items that the male drops off, without even needing the mother to tear it into pieces.
That's crazy fast. And then, right around 6 weeks, they do something completely unexpected. It's a behavioral transition called branching.
I love this part.
The source describes it so vividly. These owlets cannot actually fly, yet their flight feathers aren't fully developed, but the nest gets too small, so they leave it anyway.
They act like clumsy little acrobats.
Yes. They move out onto the surrounding branches, and they use their sharp talons to literally climb vertical tree bark. They pull themselves up, foot over foot, navigating the canopy of their home tree.
All while aggressively and loudly begging for food so their parents can locate them in the dark.
Which seems super dangerous.
It is a highly perilous time. They are exposed to predators and gravity. But it is a necessary developmental step for building muscle and coordination. True flight doesn't actually happen until they're about 10 to 12 weeks old.
And those first flights aren't exactly graceful, are they?
No, they are nothing like the silent, graceful strikes of their parents. They're incredibly clumsy, often ending with the juvenile crash landing on the ground or getting stuck on very low perches.
Which means the parents are still entirely on the hook for their survival. The investment doesn't end when the chicks leave the nest.
Far from it. Great horned owls have the longest post-fledging family period of any North American raptor.
Wow.
Yeah, the parents and the juveniles stay together as a cohesive family unit well into the summer, and sometimes even into the early fall.
So they stick around for months.
Yes. The young owls use this extended period for a critical apprenticeship. They watch the adults hunt, they try to catch prey themselves, and, well, they fail repeatedly.
They're just learning the ropes.
Exactly. They misjudge distances, they pounce on wrestling leagues instead of mice. They struggle to integrate that complex sensory acuity with physical coordination.
And every time they fail, the parents are there to step in, subsidizing those failures with delivered food so the juvenile doesn't starve while learning.
Because the cluck is ticking toward their first independent winter, which is statistically the most dangerous time of their entire lives.
Right, because they won't have the parents dropping off rabbits when the snow falls again. They have to master the grid.
They finally disperse in late fall, and the signal that forces them to leave is fascinating.
It's the parents themselves, right?
Yes. As the days shorten, the adults resume their deep, territorial duetting to claim the space for the next upcoming breeding season.
That duet is the acoustic signal to their own juveniles. It's basically saying, the apprenticeship is over, the territory is closed, you have to go.
And the brutal, brilliant cycle starts all over again.
It is an absolutely remarkable life cycle demanding total commitment from both parents.
It really is.
So, what does this all mean? When you step back and look at the entire strategy of the great horned owl, It is a story of sheer, unyielding stubbornness.
That's the perfect word for it, stubbornness.
It is a refusal to be governed by the calendar that dictates the comfortable lives of every other bird in the forest. To start the most demanding, resource-intensive project of your life at the exact moment the world is the least hospitable. Well, it looks reckless in January.
But as the text notes, when those owlets are growing visibly fat in April, exactly as the world thaws and the prey emerges in droves, it reveals itself as a masterful execution of ecological timing.
It really does.
It is the ultimate high-risk, high-reward strategy. It's perfectly honed over thousands of generations to ensure they capitalize on the spring bounty before any other predator even begins to nest.
Now, for you listening, the source material provided some excellent field notes on how to actually witness this masterclass in your own area.
Yes, there are some great tips here.
First, listen for those duets at dusk and dawn between October and January. Second, if it's late January or February, scan the tall, leafless trees for large, bulky stick nests.
And if you look closely with binoculars, you might just see those absurd-looking ear tufts poking up just over the rim of the nest, completely still in the wind.
But the best kit, look for angry crows.
Crows absolutely despise great horned owls.
They do. They obsessively harass them. So if you see a mob of loudly cawing crows converging on one specific tree during the day, follow the noise. There's a very good chance an owl is roosting silently in those branches.
However, a very stark warning comes with those field notes. If you do manage to locate an active nest, you must stay at least 100 feet away.
Yes, this is absolutely critical. If you get too close and your presence stresses the mother enough that you flush her off her nest, you are immediately exposing those 100-degree eggs to the chasing winter air.
And without her brood patch, in minus 20-degree temperatures, those embryos can die in a matter of minutes.
Literally minutes. Do not be the reason a month of starving, freezing, and hunting fails. Keep your distance and respect the process.
Respecting that physical boundary is the absolute least we can do, especially when you consider the sheer biological willpower operating inside that nest.
Seriously.
Which brings up a powerful idea from the text that I really think we could sit with. The author notes that the mother owl sitting there completely buried in the driving snow. She knew this all along.
She knew the spring was coming.
Yes, she deeply anticipated the spring thaw. She committed to the bitter cold and the starvation because she possessed an innate, perfectly calibrated understanding of the Earth's cycles.
She bet her life on a spring she couldn't see yet.
This raises an important question for you listening. If a bird can perfectly predict and synchronize its period of greatest vulnerability with the Earth's future thaw, what crucial underlying rhythms of the natural world are we humans completely missing because we've insulated ourselves so heavily from our environment?
It makes you wonder whether you are forecasting a massive business project, waiting out a tough transition, or just trying to navigate your own metaphorical winter. Maybe the secret isn't waiting for the perfect weather.
Maybe not.
Maybe the secret is trusting the long-term cycles, putting in the agonizing groundwork when it's freezing, and knowing exactly when the thaw is going to arrive.